Welcome to the next video in the Suggestion App course. This is a complete course where we'll build a .NET 6 Blazor server application with MongoDB from the ground up. There are three things you need to know before we get started. First, this is part of a series, and this isn't the first video in the series. If you're just starting out, you should check out the playlist that's linked in the description to start from the first video in the series. Second, this course is actually a paid course. MongoDB sponsored it so you can put the videos on YouTube for free. Check out the link in the description to sign up for MongoDB Atlas for free to thank them if you haven't already. Third, you can also buy this course on IamTimCorey.com. The link is in the description. Buying this course will get you all the lessons right away, the source code for each lesson, a certificate of completion, offline access, and more. It also helps sponsor more free content. The video will be the same as it is on YouTube, so feel free to watch the free version if you want to. Okay, let's jump into today's video. Note there may be more than one lesson in this video, since some lessons are short. So far, we have built all of our code right on the same page as the text. So the HTML is here, and then if you scroll down, you're going to find your CS or C#. So that works well for development, and it can even work well in production. But if you want to have some separation, and I do for production, so what we're going to do is we're going to move this now off of the main page. Now that we have the page working, we have the page tested, we have the CSS done, we have it styled well, we have it done for mobile, we can start moving these off into their own files. Now, we could have done it from the start, but I prefer to do it this way because I like to see the two things connected. It's very easy to scroll top and bottom, and it's all right there. So now we have this done. We go to code, select the code attribute, click on it, hit Control Dot or the little light bulb here, and say extract blocked code behind. Now it gives you a preview, but that preview is not really useful in the fact that it just says, yes, we're removing all this. So again, not terribly helpful, but if I click on this, the code is gone and it's now in Index.razor.cs, which has a whole bunch of using statements, which we can get rid of because they're not being used, because these are all coming through from our shared global usings or our imports. So that's the same code. It's the same code before. It's just in a C# file. The Razor page does not have any code here and not even a reference to the code. What's happening is it's using the name Index.razor.cs and it's linking the two. If you're familiar with ASP.NET web forms, which is the old .NET framework web forms, which they're no longer in .NET Core, but this is a similar concept where we have our code behind CS file with our web page. So that's all this really is doing, is just linking the two, but now we have our code here and we have our index page here. And if we run this, nothing will have changed. It will still boot up, it will still run. We won't have any bugs that were caused by this. It's just moved where it is in the system. It's still compiled the same way. So that's what we're going to do for some of our other pages, not for all of them, but let's move on and do the rest. Next up, we're going to go to the details page and do the exact same thing. So we're going to move this code. So Control Dot, extract, get rid of. Notice there is one using statement here that is used, so we can get rid of the rest. Getting rid of using statements is just about cleaning up the use of lines in your code. It's not changing anything. It's not changing how your application is deployed. It's not changing how your application is compiled. It's not changing how big your application is. Nothing. It's not changing anything except for your development surface. So I like the fact that I can just have the code that I'm actually using on the screen, but don't feel like having a using statement at the top that's not actually used is somehow hurting you. It's not. So with that, that's all we have to do. I do recommend that you, every time you make a change like this, that you do test it out. It should not affect anything, but you really don't want to take these things on faith. You want to make sure that, in fact, it still works. So, seems to. If I click on this, that all still works. So, that's all there is for the details page. Let's clean up the create document as well. Let's come down to our code. We'll hit Control dot. We'll extract that code behind. We'll wait for the usings to be done. There is a models using statement that's still being used. We'll save this. We'll run this. The other part of running this is when we delete our using statements, if you accidentally missed one that was in use, this would tell you. So we're going to launch this, make sure it works. Go to our suggest page. It seems to. So we'll call this good. We won't actually create a suggestion. We'll do that in a little bit when we do our full end-to-end testing. But that works as well. So now we have our create page, our details page, and our index page so far that have been moved off into their own files. Let's close all tabs, and we can move on to the next page to handle. Admin approval is the next file on the list. So let's come over here. Let's scroll down to our code, hit Control dot to extract. Wait for the using statements to be done. There's none in use, it looks like. So get rid of all those. Notice the way I find out they're in use or not is they gray out if they're not being used. So they're all gray. Get rid of all of them. And I could also, and you know what? Let's do this. Let's convert to file scoped namespaces. I think that's a matching thing we're doing already. Let's do the same with create. Convert to file scope namespace. We'll do the same with details. Convert. The way I'm converting is Control dot is your friend. Select the namespace or click on it, hit Control dot, convert to file scope namespace. That's the quick actions and refactoring menu in case you wanted to look it up that way. But this matches the rest of our classes in use. And again, it moves everything over to the left. In our case, 3 spaces because we're using 3 space tabs instead of 4. But either way, it moves it over a significant portion for every single line in your file. I've had some people argue a little bit with me about, well, I like to have the curly braces because they're important. And I don't see the value of them because this says, hey, this is the namespace for the entire file, as opposed to the curly braces saying this is the namespace for everything inside of the curly braces, which technically could mean you can have more than one namespace, but I never do. So I don't like that. And then just moving everything over just because, not my favorite. So instead, I like to have that space back so that I have less scrolling left to right in order to see my code. Like, even here, I'm scrolling left to right a little bit, but if I unpin this, now I still have stuff here, but not as much. And of course, if I zoom down to what I actually use for development, I wouldn't. If we go down to, I don't know, let's go with 80%, we can see the whole thing here. So there is no left to right scroll at all. And I like that. And if I do have left to right scroll like this, I go, hey, you know what? That probably should be 2 lines. So we do that and we go, okay, that makes more sense because anything that scrolls at this point, it's just too long. So if it gets that long, it needs to be a couple of lines or a few lines. So let's put it back to 100% so you actually read. But yeah, that's why I like the file scope namespaces. So let's test this now that we're done. We can make sure that the admin approval page still loads up at least, and then later we'll test the full on walkthrough. But yeah, it still works. So cool. That's all we need to do for admin approval. Now let's move on to the last page we're going to do for this layout change. It's time for the last page we're going to do this conversion on, and that is the profile page. On the profile page, we'll scroll to the bottom. We're going to move this code out. We'll extract it. We will get rid of all the namespaces. We will convert it to a file scoped namespace. And the reason why I have to convert these over is because of the fact that we're using quick actions refactoring. That does not seem to take into account the wishes of the editor config. So it's one of those things that it's probably coming, but we can just do a quick conversion and it's fine. Now, this is the last page we're going to do, but notice it's not the last page of all of these. We still have the profile page. We have the login page doesn't have any code. We have the profile page. I'm sorry, not profile page, sample data page. And that does have code behind it. You may say, well, Tim, why don't you separate that? And first of all, it's a sample data page. It's not a page we're going to take to production. In fact, I would close this page down before we actually publish it to production. But also because since it's a sample page, we're gonna modify and make changes quickly to it. It's also going to have a lot of code. Granted, there is 200 lines total in this file, most of which is code, but it's not a huge deal, I don't think. So I would leave it alone for those reasons. So it's up to you. It's definitely a personal preference thing. It's not a thing where it's a hard and fast rule. So up to you. Let's make sure the profile page works and we can wrap up this section on moving all of our code out from the Razor pages into their own files. Profile page. It seems to work. Cool. With that, we're done moving all of our code out and we can start working on testing the site. Now it's time to test our site. So let's log in. We want to test a few different ways. And I'm going to go through the basics. I'm not going to go through the in-depth testing. I actually had, for our actual production site, I had my whole team work on breaking this. And that's always a scary thing as a developer to say, hey, can you make this scream in pain? Because not only are you going to find out that, yes, it does scream in pain, but if you have people on your team like I do, they take great joy in finding all the edge cases. Now, they're doing it for a good reason, but I can tell you what, I came across things I never thought about that would break. So we're going to walk through the basics of that and how this would work, but I highly encourage you to put it into someone else's hands, not just yours, because you're going to default to what I call the happy path, which is what we're going to do first. We're going to test the happy path, because if the happy path doesn't work, that's a big problem. Now, after that, we're going to test the edge cases, which are a little more difficult. They're where users do things that you don't expect, okay? Not just what you expect them to do. So let's start with a happy path, but we're going to start as an admin, since that's what we're already logged in as. We're logged in as an admin. So we'll start there, and then we'll downgrade my permission to just user and try from there. So admin, we're logged in. We already have some sample data, so we can play around with some with an admin. What is an admin going to do? Well, an admin is going to look through, you should probably have this written down, okay? Have a testing plan with all the different things that an admin can do or is going to do, and make sure you test every single one. Again, we're going to be a little bit more informal in this video just to show off the process, but an in-depth process should be rather involved, rather long, with all the different things an admin could do. But let's start with the basics. An admin is going to, first of all, go to the admin page and approve, reject, or modify. So let's modify. Well, I think this is canceled. And we're going to hit X and it's gone. Remember that didn't work before? Now it does. I like it. And hit the green check mark. I like it. Cool. So that does work. Is this still pending? No. That's gone. Yes. It's there. Okay. We can even go to our actual database and we can look at the pending submissions. Let's go to submissions or suggestions. And this is the is it still pending suggestion, which is down here. Is it still pending? Yes. What do you think? I like it. So our changes made the page and the true and false are correct. We've already seen what happens when you do both of these, but let's just do one of them. Let's approve it because it's good to have something else approved. Cool. Now I come over here. Is it still pending? Yes. And it's a waiting upvote. I can't click on it because that is my submission. And that's okay. And that's more of a user testing thing. So we'll get to that. But let's talk through the other things an admin might do. Well, an admin might come into a suggestion. Let's go to this one right here and set a status. Hey, we're watching this. So we notice the interest, and if more people are interested, we may address the topic in an upcoming resource. Now it says watching. So that works. We're able to change our status to upcoming, to dismissed, to completed, which we can put a URL here. We can test that URL. That works. So the status change also works. Again, happy path as an admin. Now, let's do the other thing an admin's going to do, and that is archive something. So let's go with our first suggestion. I'm looking at this and going, I just don't see the appeal in this. No one's voting on this. I just unvoted on it. It's been here for a while. We're going to archive it. Are you sure? Yep. Okay, so it's gone. It's archived. And if we come back over here to our list of suggestions, we go to our first suggestion and notice that archived is true. So yes, we are archiving our first suggestion. So that's the happy path for an admin. The admin's going to do three major things. They're going to approve pending submissions. They're going to add statuses to submissions, and they're going to archive submissions. Those three things are the three things that an admin's going to do, and those three things are doable in this list. So with that, we've tested the happy path for an admin, the things that they're normally going to do in the normal way. User testing for the happy path needs a user, not an admin, because we want to be able to see what a user will see, not just what an admin sees. So let's log out. That way first of all, we can test what happens when you're logged out, but also let's go over to Azure and go back to users and find Tim Corey test. And under let's edit. Under my title, I'm going to take away admin. So I have lost my ability to be an admin under that user. So first, let's test what a user can do when they're not logged in. Again, this is happy path, not the things user will do, more like the things that we're going to allow the things we expect them to do. So we expect them when they are here to say, hey, I want to sort by popular. That works. How about new? That works. How about only dev question suggestions? Yep, that works. How about only suggestions that are completed? Yep, that works. How about suggestions are completed that are dev questions? Yeah, that works, although it's kind of weird because they're all. How about we say, let's look for other. Yep, that works. 10-minute training, in-depth. No one suggested that. Dev questions, courses, all completed, watching, upcoming. dismissed. So we can see all the different statuses, all different categories. We can search. So SE for second. There we go. Let's look for our, and notice it only gives us 3 because the fact that that first submission does not have an hour in it. So that works. And that's really all a user can do before they log in. If we try and upvote, it's going to send it to login, which is what you want. And we're going to test those edge cases. I guess we're going to call that an edge case where they try to vote and they can't. Same as suggest. They can't do that until they sign in. So really they're limited to those options right now. There's no archive button. There's no way to get to their profile. So that's all the happy path things that they can do while they're not logged in. So let's say they do log in. Let's hit the login button. And let's log in. We've tested the account creation. We don't need to do that again. Let's hit sign in. And now we're signed in. We can see we still don't have the archive option where it says awaiting upvote because we were the ones that created the suggestion, where this one says click to upvote. So let's do some voting. Let's take away a vote. Now it's 4. Let's add a vote. Now that's 4. Let's sort of popular. There we go. Let's click to upvote this and notice that it moves up the popularity list. All good stuff. Ordering still applies when you go back to new. We can go into a suggestion. We can see that it's completed. We can go to the link. We still can't upvote here, but if we come over to our 4th suggestion, we can change the number of votes that it has on it based upon being inside of this suggestion. So that works. And if we go to our profile page, we can see our profile with the various things. We can't really do anything here, but we can edit our profile, which let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to change this to Tim Corey and hit continue. And that will update my information. Let's just check the database to make sure that worked. So now note that, let's refresh to make sure. Now, Tim Corey and Tim Corey test instead of Timothy Corey. So that worked. So the happy path for a user also works. We can create a suggestion. This is my happy path suggestion and in-depth tutorial. That's the one we didn't have before, I think. Hello and thank you for listening. Here is my 1-hour talk on why I want this. Please don't do that. But we're going to hit suggest. And now if we go to profile, we should have pending suggestions. There's my happy path suggestions. So that works. Everything works as expected. So that doesn't mean our application's ready for production yet, but it does mean that all the things that we wanted to happen do happen, which is very good. Now we need to look for our bugs, things that will cause unexpected issues, things that will break in some way when users do some weird stuff. So let's do that next. We're going to start with our edge case user testing. We'll do that next. And then we'll go on to edge case admin testing. It's time to try and break the site. And this can be a lot of fun, especially since you're the developer, because you know all the things that might be able to break the site. For example, I know about the admin approval page. So, admin approval. No, I can't get there. Okay, let's see. What else can I do that might be unexpected? Well, I could notice this GUID up here, or this ID up here. I could change this. Let's go with D5. Okay, well, technically, that's not cool. And the fact that it didn't find anything, and so nothing happened. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write that down on my list of, yeah, let's fix that, but it's not a high priority because quite frankly, you do this and you change something, that's kind of on you for breaking it. And it only hurts you. It doesn't hurt anybody else. So I'm okay with that. But I do want to fix it eventually. So I'd put that down a list of things that should be fixed, but are a low priority. All right, what else can we do? Let's close out here. Let's see if we can't submit an empty suggestion. Nope, can't do that. How about if we submit with a short suggestion, and that's it? Well, still need a category field. How about, can we uncheck this? So I clicked it once, can I unclick it? No, I can't do that. So now it's other, I hit suggest. Well, that worked. I didn't fill in a description, which is okay because that was what was intended. We intended you to be able to put a suggestion without a further description, if you want. Okay, how about if I do a new suggestion, and this time I really just, go crazy. And put a lot of, I'll put some more text in there so you can see. No, limit is 75. Okay, so I'll Control A, Control X that, and I'll paste it in down there. And that seems to work. And I can put a ton in here. All right, so I keep putting stuff in here. And it seems like it'll keep going. Well, 500 characters is a lot, just so you know. And that's what this limit is. Oh, there we go. We hit it. Let's take out some. Take out some more. Take out some more. Really? Oh, okay. So we're good. There's less characters. But notice they're all together. Let's do the same thing here. I'm just going to, kind of string them together and make sure that, it's 75. There we go. There is the limit. Now, there's no spaces there. So this is one that actually Tom found on my team. And it's one that's interesting. We hit suggest. It worked. We're going to find out how that negatively impacts things in a little bit. But, okay, it worked. It let it through. I'm putting garbage through. Let's try something else. Let's try putting in HTML. And how about down here, we put some quotes in, maybe a single, or semicolon. We'll put a single quote as well, backslash, forward slash, trying to get some kind of reaction out of the system. Not necessarily injection of code, but really just more to see if we can break something. We'll use some special characters, curly braces, square brackets, parens, pipe characters. We'll throw everything at this thing to see if we can't get some kind of reaction out of the system. Went through just fine. Okay, so what else can we break here? Is there something else in here we could do? I don't see, there's no really interactivity other than voting. We could vote on our own. Nope, we can't do that. We can go to our profile page, not much there. Oop, there we see. First of all, shows these off just fine, but notice this. Whoops, that caused some scrolling. We'll have to wrap that probably. Well, here's another one of those cases where this is a small issue. Because, and I put this down for, fix this, but it's a low priority. Because what happened here is because it's so long with no spaces, it's not going to put a wrap in the middle. It's going to wait for the space to wrap. So if we had multiple spaces in here, that would fit within the white area just fine. It would just have multiple lines. But because of the fact that it has no spaces, it just goes right off the page. So, yeah, that's a bug. It's not something we need to fix necessarily because, again, you broke this by putting in a junk submission. That's never hitting the page anyway. We're going to find that in pending, and we're going to reject it out of hand. So that's what we'll do. But just so you know, that's, kind of a low priority, but it's an issue. So let's see what else we could do. I think that's about it. That's all the permissions we have as a user is just make suggestions, vote, log in, log out, and change our name. So that's it. I think that it's pretty robust. It's pretty solid. Yes, we could probably find some really edge cases if we really try, but I think that's all the ones that we have access to. Okay. Now we do have one more that's really a hidden one. Again, it will not go to production, but that is we still have that sample data page. So if I went to /sample data, I could generate sample data. I could create stats. I could create categories, which only the generate sample data would cause an issue. But that's why I don't want that page in production. So that will not go to production. We might even wrap that in admin just to be sure. But otherwise, yeah, that's all for testing it as a user. Oh, we should log out. Let's log out. Now let's try doing some stuff. So create sends me to the login page. We already know that. Well, let's go create manually. Nope, can't do that. Let's see what, profile. Nope, can't do that. What else can we do? We can go to details. Cool. We can't upvote because it sends us back to this page. So that's it. That's all I can do. So we're good. We're pretty solid from the user perspective. Next up, let's test it from the admin perspective. In order to test as an admin, I need to be an admin. So let's go back to job title. We're going to say admin, and we'll hit save again. So we can go back to the view option for this. So now Tim Corey is back at an admin, or help at I am Tim Corey is. Let's log back in. Now, for the most part, as an admin, we're not expecting you to try to break the system. Because if you're an admin, you have better ways of breaking the system. For instance, you might have access directly to the database. Well, if you have access to the database, you can do a whole lot of stuff that you shouldn't do. So let's just look at, though, the things that an admin might do. Let's go to the admin page. And first of all, hey, look it. We've got the scrolling description here. An admin should come in here and start putting spaces in. And that would fix some problems. But let's say the admin doesn't and they approve it. Okay? And they come down here and look at this and go, oh, look it. They're trying to crack into our system. I'm going to approve that. They shouldn't. But let's do it. Again, we're testing the edge cases here. So what if the admin decided, we're going to approve this, but we're going to make sure that this is just massive. Okay, like so. And that's more than 75 characters. And it worked. Well, that's because we allowed the admins to put in more than 75 characters because we thought that the admins could use discretion. The same thing with the description. That can be more than 500 characters because you're an admin. We're going to expect you to use discretion. Maybe you don't. So let's approve this. Now, this is what we have. A mess. Okay? So this, not a huge deal. I mean, yeah, it's ugly, and yeah, it overflows this because there's no spacing. But otherwise, it works. This one is entirely too long. It goes over even the category and statuses. But otherwise, it's fine. It shouldn't be here, but it's fine. The tests with the trying to do some kind of, injection, SQL injection, or, HTML code injection, whatever. That didn't work. It just shows it off as text. So even with the admin really making some mistakes here, the worst they can do is cause some layout issues because of making these changes. Now, once they do, it's kind of too late, meaning there's not a way to get this off the page except for the fact that this right here is not good data. Having no spaces here, not good data, therefore we could just archive it. However, if we really wanted to fix it, we'd have to come to the suggestions, we'd have to come down and find it, and that would be, I think, this one right here. So let's put some spaces in here, as if it were real words. We'll just throw a bunch of spaces in. Okay, let's put some more in around here. Call that good, and we'll hit update. Oh, there's more. This one as well is huge, but I think that's fine. We'll just do that one. And we're going to hit refresh. Look at that. All's good. It wrapped. Just fine. We can even put this as, hey, we're watching you. And if we do that, puts the tag on the end, still cool. All good. So spaces, that's all you really need, because spaces handle the layout just fine. Nope, that's not what I wanted to hit. I accidentally hit F10 instead of F12. The difference is that F10 stops my recording and F12 is what pulls the developer tools up. So let's try this again. Even if you hit F12 here and bring this up, it still lays out nicely. So we've got a nice layout here. It looks fine. I mean, it wraps just fine. Others over here. Our title is kind of huge, but that's okay. No big deal. So that title's a problem because it's so long, no spaces. So yeah, we'd like to fix that. But otherwise, the layout looks fine. We haven't really broken anything. So I think that, let's start this up again. I think that our layout looks good. Our way to edit this, the admin's not going to break much. There's not much you can break. You archive or you don't. You add a status or you don't. You can change the status. You can approve or disapprove. The only thing that would be a problem is if they started letting in junk data. It would just look junky. That's it. So that's the edge case path testing for an admin. There's not a lot they can do that's going to hurt the system. It's just a matter of if they're doing their job or not. And that's not a function of the application itself. That's a function of management, of making sure that they're doing the right thing the right way and having the training to do it correctly. So with that, I think we're done all of our testing. Yes, there's probably a few little bugs here and there that we need to find out. And the other thing, the thing that we have not tested yet, and the thing that is going to probably be a thing that happens more in production than in your testing, is load testing. Testing out what happens when a bunch of people use a site. That's going to happen by having a bunch of people use the site. You can try to use tools, and to an extent I would encourage that. For the site we actually built for production, yes, we did do some load testing on our own, but it does not take the place of actual users hitting the site and seeing what happens. So the rollout of this will include time to make sure that we can fix the site if something were to break. So, and hopefully nothing breaks, but if it does, well, that's what happens. We work on it, we address the issue, we identify what the issues are, and we fix them. That's where logging comes in. Again, that's something we did not add to this system yet, but it's something I would encourage you to add, and depends on where you're going to log, how you add that logging, but definitely add some logging to make sure you understand what's going on in the system so that you can track down any errors and find out why things aren't working the way you expect them to. So load testing is the one big thing that comes from having people use it. If you have a group of dedicated alpha and beta testers, that'd be great. Try to give it to them and have them hammer away at it to see if you can find the issues. Remember that alpha and beta testing is not about just getting early access. That's not what it's about. What it's about is about giving users a chance to make sure your site is rock solid. That's what it's for. Okay, so that's all of our testing done. That's the last of it. So now we can talk through where to go from here. And that's it for the suggestion site app. We have gone from an idea and a drawing on a piece of paper all the way to a working site that is scalable for production use. Now, when I put the site into production, I am going to be using logging for the system. I'll add that. And then I'm going to deploy it to Azure because that will allow me to scale the site as necessary on the web side of things. But then I'll also be using MongoDB Atlas for the database side of things because of the fact that that too will scale and replicate around the globe for me in a very quick and powerful manner. This allows me to handle the excess load or the load that's going to happen when all of my students, all the people that watch my videos, go to my site even all at once and start adding suggestions. If you want to add your own suggestions, go there, check it out, maybe see how it has changed since I built this video. We'll always be tweaking this as we go. So over the next year or two, you'll see it change and modify as we add new features or change how things work over time. Hopefully, you got a lot of value out of this course. There's a lot of stuff we covered, and if you got lost somewhere, don't worry. It happens. You can go back and watch it again, or this course was a practice course. This course is all about practicing what you already know. So if you have to fill in your gaps, maybe now you know what the gaps are, which is a great thing. Knowing what your gaps are allows you to go find the answers to fill those gaps. Whether it is learning more about MongoDB or learning more about web development, C#, or HTML, CSS3, or any of those kind of advanced techniques or newer things that have come out. Definitely find out resources to fill those gaps now that you know they exist. Okay? And either way, practice this. Try to do your own site. Build something that works for you using these same techniques, and then put it into production. See how it works. Okay? Thanks for watching. And as always, I am Tim Corey.